Hello guys, welcome to the Code Club CV automation video. So today we're making a CV automation that sends recruiters your CV automatically. Let's get into it. So we're gonna open our Visual Studio Code. We already opened a file and on our desktop that's called CV Auto. So we just need to open a file in the folder that we're gonna call anything of your preference. CV automation, CV auto, but remember to make it a .py file because we are coding this in Python. So first things first, it's gonna open an empty folder, as you know. So we're just gonna import our library. The first thing we're gonna import is our library. We have the Smtp lib for library. That's the library that we're using for this automation. So this SMTP library, this email handling library. So that's what we're gonna use for this automation. So first things first, we're gonna configure our email settings. So your email address, your passwords, and each and everything that we need for the email is gonna be set up here. So first of all, we declare our email, your email, if I may say. So sender's email is gonna be your email. That is gonna be the one sending the emails to the recruiters. So I advise that it's a Gmail because that's way easier. So we're gonna put that there. And next up, we're gonna put the sender's email's password. So the password to your email. The password usually has a few problems, but I'll put a link in the description that actually shows you how to maneuver those problems with regards to your password not being accessed by the SMT server. So next up, we're gonna declare the recipient email. So you're gonna put the emails of the recruiters or the companies that you want to send your CV in an array. So please put box brackets there because this is an array of emails. So please put box brackets there. I forgot to put mine here, but put yours. I'll end up fixing that problem when I notice it. So just put your square brackets right there because this is an array. And I'm gonna put 2 emails, but remember this doesn't limit you to 2 emails. You can put as many emails into your array as possible, depending on how many companies you want to send your CV automatically. So with that done there, we're gonna move on to the subject. The subject is what you want to be written in the subject column of your email when you send it. So I put mine as notification. You can put it as anything. You can put it as your name and CV and whatever you want to be written in your subject, you can write it over there. So moving on, we're going to declare our function, the one that actually has the format of how we want to write our email. So this function is called the send email function with 2 variables, which is the recipient and the message. And we're just going to set that over there. And moving on, we're gonna set how we want to write our message. So MSG and the format in which we're gonna write our message. So starting off with the subject and skipping 2 lines there, and then we put the message. So that's what basically is gonna be done. That's what that means over there. Let me just finish typing. So moving on, we are gonna initialize our server right there. So this is the bit of code that's gonna get our server up and running and ready to send the emails. So this is where we just call the library and actually get our domain name of which we are gonna be using to send the emails, and also give it our port numbers. So that's what we are doing over here. The port number of this specific server is going to be 587. So yeah, so that's that piece of code right there. And then the server starting code is this one over here. It's a pretty much simple code. People say coding is hard, hey, but this thing seems simple over here. So that's the piece of code that you need to remember over there. And then we're going to put in our login code with two parameters, which is the sender's email and the sender password. So this is the piece of code that's going to log into our account for the sending of the emails. So bear in mind the order that we're putting these pieces of code. And yeah, then after logging in, we're going to have to send the message. So this is the piece of code that's actually going to send the message. So it's the .send mail, and the parameters, they are sender's email and recipient and MSG. And then that's pretty much most of the code that we need to initialize the server and actually send our message. And moving on, we're gonna exit our server with a pretty simple piece of code, which is server.quit. Most languages use this .quit thing. I feel like they should innovate more. So yeah, that's basically most of the initialization of the server. And please remember to comment on your code so that when you look at the piece of code next time, you remember what's going on. Because most of the time people just write code, and the next time they open it, they spend countless hours trying to figure out what they were writing. So guys, we have written most of our code here, and this is pretty much a working script, and we just have to do a few things that are right there. And please pay attention to the details. As you can see, I have an error there on the subject next to the MSG, but I'll fix that in due time. So we're just writing an if statement, and if this if is met, then our message will be sent. So right under this if statement, that's where we're going to write our message. And I advise you to get a Google Drive link in which you're going to use within this message so that they are able to get your CV, because we could have made code for an attachment, but that's just way too fussy and complex. We want simple things because we are programmers, lazy. Yeah, so here's our message. I'm just gonna put a simple message there because hey, I don't have all day to write this out. So this is the message that is written and sent to the recipients when you run your code. So that's where you're gonna put it there. And I advise you to write a very nice message to your recruiters, just asking them to check out your CV link, and no worries. So that's basically it. And we're just gonna write a for loop there, and that will be the end of our code. So please pay attention to the details there. Please do not make any errors because this is a running code. And if you start commenting that the code is not running, that means you made an error. And if your import is not working, please try pip install, and then you just install the necessary libraries that you need, because if it has orange line like the subject over here, the subject, I just needed to put in a capital letter there, and the code is up and running. This is the whole script that you need. And yeah, we are geniuses. It should look like something like that after you filled it in. So that's my code. I won't show you my recruiter's emails there. So for the automation, here's the nice part. When I go to our command line, you type CMD in your search and it's gonna work. So here we're installing something called Pyinstaller. So Pyinstaller is what turns our Python file into an executable file. So pip install Pyinstaller, and I'm assuming that you have already installed your Python on your computer. So just type in pip installer and copy the directory of your file, and we're gonna cd into the file there, and then we're gonna start coding. We have entered the file there, so we're gonna say Pyinstaller, and then we're gonna get the name of the file so that the Pyinstaller does its thing and turns the file into an executable for the event manager. So I like renaming, copying the name, and then moving on. So you just paste the name of your file there, then that should be good. You're gonna remember the .py because the extension is not put there. So it's gonna do its thing, it's gonna load, and I'll catch you after it loads there. So that's pretty much what it does. It's loading. Please let it do its thing. And then when it's done, you're gonna have something like this. And then there are files that are created in your folder. So you now have extra files, and the dist file is the one where your executable file is, and it has the same name as your original file, and it's an application file. So that's your exe file that your computer has to execute in order for your file to run. So we are done with creating the executable file, and now we have to go to the events manager. And let me just show you a simple way. If you don't need those many files, you're going to put the one file at the back of the Pyinstaller and your file name and Py, so that when you run that, you're only going to have your executable file, and those other files that you see there won't be shown there. But I'm not going to do that right now. You can do that at your own time. And yeah, so now we need to go to the events manager. So we're going to type task scheduler on your search, and then you're going to enter the task scheduler, and you're going to create a new task. It's either create a new simple task, you're going to give your task a name. So CV auto is what we're going with here, and then you're going to describe what your task does, so the next time you're looking through your tasks, you remember what is going on there. Then you're going to press the next button after. So it's going to ask you whether you want to execute daily, weekly, monthly, and here it's asking you the time and the date in which you want your task to be executed. So what time should your executable file be executed? So that's what we're going to type there. Choose the time of your choice, and it's going to ask you a few questions. We're not going to touch on that. Then you browse for your file. So you're going to go to your executable file right there and look for it, and then you're pretty much going to put it there, and then done. Once it's there, press next, and pretty much we are done. And whatever time you set there, it's gonna execute at exactly that time, and the companies you want to see your CV are gonna get it. So there you can see our task is listed on the amount of tasks that are there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching the video. This has been another Code Clubhouse video. See you next time.